The Riddler Revenge is the Vekoma SLC at Six Flags New England, and it was very rough, even with the new restraints. The track itself is just rough. The restraints don't help it at all. It is still painful, it kills your legs, and it is not an enjoyable ride at all. With a roller coaster, when you get off, you want to be like, hey, I want to do that again. But as soon as you hit that first inversion on this ride, you're like, hey, I want to get off this thing. This ride is just awful, and it didn't even come close to making my top 5. The Gotham City Gauntlet is Six Flags New England's Wild Mouse, and what can I say besides it's just another old Wild Mouse. But this one I would say is a little more painful because the restraints kinda suck. And yeah, it just wasn't a very enjoyable ride. And naturally this wouldn't make the top 5 because after all, it's just another Wild Mouse. And the last of the honorable mentions is the 2 Vekoma boomerangs at the park in Goliath and Flashback. And unfortunately I did not get to ride Goliath because it was closed for refurbishment, but that's okay. And I did get to ride Flashback, and what can I say besides it's just a Vekoma boomerang. Not that great, not that bad, not that good, just it's whatever. It wasn't that rough, you didn't bang your head too bad, and I expected the same from Goliath, just vertical drops and bigger inversions. So yeah, what can I say? It's a Vekoma boomerang. Now, starting off the top 5 is Pandemonium. This ride was actually really fun. You spin around like crazy, and you felt like you were gonna not stop spinning ever. And it was a decently long ride, and it was really smooth. It didn't throw you around at all, which I really liked. And because of the spinning, it adds a whole new aspect to the ride, and gives it a whole new feel, which makes it even better. If this ride did not spin, this would be nothing, but this was definitely worth waiting in line for. Even though it was not the longest ride out there, it was still a pretty long ride, but it was worth it, because all that spinning just packed in a punch, and it really was an enjoyable ride. That's why it is at my number 5. And coming in at number 4 is the Joker, the 4D Free Fly coaster. And I can't really say much about this ride. It's a pretty short ride, but the only fun part about this ride that I personally like is spinning around, which I think that's the main point of the ride, and I think that would be everybody's favorite part of the ride. That's the only reason why it's at my number 4. There's nothing really too special about this ride. There's so many of them out there, and it's just nothing special, but it is enough to make the top 5 because of all the rough rides there are at New England. And yeah, I like spinning around on this ride a lot, and yeah, it's just another 4D Free Fly for you. Coming in at number 3 is Batman the Dark Knight, the B&M floorless coaster at the park, and I really did enjoy this ride. It has a great layout, great inversions, in a short amount of time, and that's what I like. You do bang your head in some spots, but nothing to the point where it's unbearable, and yeah, even though it is a short ride, it does deliver a punch, and that's what I love about this ride, is how good of a ride it gives in such a short amount of time. And I hope to get more rides on this because I only got one ride on it in my past trip to New England, so I hope to get more rides on it in the near future. And coming in at the number 2 spot, this may surprise some people, but this is Superman the Ride. And I definitely think this ride is overrated, but it is still a fantastic ride, especially in the front row. The front row, the airtime you get is insane, and that overbank is actually really intense. And I got to ride this quite a few times when I was at New England, and I definitely do like this ride. But I feel like it definitely was a little overhyped, and it didn't deliver to what I was expecting it to be. But it overall was a great ride. Unfortunately, the mist wasn't going for some reason, and it was a very hot day, which was a little disappointing. And the track is a little squeaky for some reason. But the brake run is actually really cool, and you know you got a good ride when even the brake run is cool, because you feel like you're about to slam into the other train. That's how little track takes up the brake run. And there's no mid-course brake run on this ride, which is always good. And the pacing, I would say, is pretty good. I believe there's no trim brakes besides towards the end of the ride on those last few airtime hills. But the ride is pretty nicely paced, and I would definitely like to go back and ride this thing soon. It is definitely not a bad ride, but I think it's a little bit overrated. Coming in at number 1 is the Wicked Cyclone. Oh my goodness, do I love this ride. This ride is so good. All the elements are great. The airtime on this ride is insane. You got the comfy RMC, restraints, and seats, and trains, and oh my gosh, you get great hang time on this ride. Great airtime. The first overbank is super intense, and it is a pretty intense ride overall. You got that double down, you got that crazy airtime moment before the end of the ride, and I feel like this ride just keeps on going and going and going. You feel like it's never going to stop, and it is just an amazing ride, and I can never get enough of it. That is why it is at my number 1. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. Do you agree with the placement of the rides on this list? Let me know in the comments below. And make sure to look out for more content that I will be uploading soon. And be sure to check out other videos I have made, such as my Luna Park vlog and my Six Flags Great Adventure vlogs. Thank you guys for watching. Coaster Hunters out.